Right now, as you read these words, something strange is happening. A voice inside your head is narrating them. Maybe it's reading along in your own tone. Maybe it just made a small comment about this sentence itself. That voice never stops. It was talking before you picked up your phone. It will be talking after you put it down. It comments on your decisions, replays your conversations, rehearses arguments you'll never actually have, and narrates your entire existence back to you in real time. And here's the part that should unsettle you. You have absolutely no idea who is speaking. Neuroscientists still cannot fully explain who or what is producing that voice. You experience it as you, but the brain doesn't have a single unified self sitting in a control room issuing commands. It's a sprawling network of competing regions, each one doing its own job, none of them in charge. So when a voice rises up out of that chaos and says, "I should have said something different back there," where exactly is it coming from? This isn't a philosophical trick question. It's one of the strangest unsolved problems in modern neuroscience. Let's start with what we do know. That voice in your head has a name. Psychologists call it inner speech, and it's not rare or unusual. It's almost universal. Studies using experience sampling methods, where researchers interrupt people at random points during the day and ask exactly what was going through their mind, found that inner speech makes up a significant portion of most people's waking thoughts. Some people talk to themselves almost constantly. Others experience it in short bursts, but nearly everyone has it in some form. But here's where it gets strange. Inner speech isn't just thinking in words. Brain imaging shows that when you talk to yourself silently, the exact same regions activate as when you speak out loud. Your brain's language centers fire. Even your motor cortex, the part that controls your actual vocal muscles, shows tiny flickers of activity. You are, in a very real sense, whispering to yourself constantly. Your body is trying to speak. It's just holding the sound in. Think about what that means. Every silent thought you've ever had was an aborted sentence, a whisper your body prepared to make, and then swallowed before it reached the air. So why would evolution build a brain that talks to a version of itself that already knows everything it's about to say? That question took psychologists nearly a century to seriously investigate, and the answer traces back to a place you wouldn't expect. Watch a small child playing alone with toys, and you'll notice something odd. They narrate everything out loud. The truck goes here, now the dog is hungry, now they're friends. A Russian psychologist named Lev Vygotsky studied this behavior in the 1930s and proposed something radical for his time. He argued that this out-loud self-talk wasn't meaningless chatter. It was the child literally thinking in real time, using language as a tool to guide their own behavior. And then something happens as children grow older. The talking doesn't stop, it goes underground. Vygotsky proposed that children gradually internalize this speech. The words get quieter, faster, more fragmented, until eventually the sentences compress into something that barely resembles language at all. A silent private code running entirely inside the skull. What you experience as your inner monologue isn't some higher form of consciousness. It's a 5-year-old's out-loud narration, buried and compressed, still running in the background of your adult mind. You never stop talking to your toys. You just stopped needing to move your mouth. But if that's true, then inner speech should actually do something. It shouldn't just be background noise. It should have a function, and it does, a significant one. Researchers have found that inner speech plays a direct role in self-regulation. The ability to control your own behavior, delay gratification, and push through difficult tasks. In one striking series of studies, researchers had people repeat a single word to themselves silently while performing a difficult physical or mental task. That simple act of self-talk measurably improved their performance and endurance. The voice in your head isn't just commentary. It's a tool your brain built to talk itself through hard moments, a coach living permanently inside your skull. But that's not the only job it does. Inner speech also appears critical for something even more fundamental: holding thoughts in your mind long enough to use them. Cognitive scientists studying working memory, the mental workspace where you juggle a phone number, a sentence, or a plan for the next 5 minutes, found that silently repeating information to yourself is one of the primary ways the brain keeps that information from slipping away. Without inner speech, thoughts would evaporate almost as fast as they formed. In other words, the voice in your head isn't just narrating your life, it's the thing holding your mind together long enough for you to have one. And this is where the story takes a darker turn. Because if inner speech is this essential, this deeply wired into how humans think, plan, and function, then what happens when that voice turns against you? For most people, the inner voice acts like a narrator, sometimes a coach, occasionally a critic. But researchers studying anxiety and depression have found that in certain mental states, that voice shifts from guidance into something closer to interrogation. It replays failures on a loop. It rehearses catastrophes that haven't happened. It narrates a version of you that is constantly falling short. This isn't a personality flaw. It's the exact same same neurological mechanism, inner speech, being hijacked by different emotional circuitry, turning a built-in survival tool into a source of suffering. The same whisper that once helped a toddler figure out how to stack blocks can, decades later, keep an adult awake at 3 a.m., replaying a conversation from 6 years ago. And then there's the extreme edge of this phenomenon, the place where science gets genuinely eerie. Some people don't just hear an inner voice commenting on their thoughts. They hear voices that feel like they're coming from outside their own mind entirely, voices with their own identity, separate from the sense of me. This experience, associated with certain psychiatric conditions, has led researchers to a striking hypothesis. Auditory hallucinations may be a breakdown in the brain's ability to recognize its own inner speech as self-generated. Normally, your brain tags your inner voice as mine, but if that tagging system fails, the exact same neural signal, the same whisper everyone produces constantly, can be misread by the brain as a voice belonging to someone else. Which means the difference between the ordinary voice in your head and a genuine auditory hallucination might not be two different phenomena at all. It might be the same signal, with one tiny system malfunctioning. The voice that says, "You forgot your keys," and the voice some people hear as an external stranger speaking to them may be produced by the exact same neural machinery, just filed under a different label. And that raises an unsettling question. If your brain can mislabel its own voice as someone else's under the right conditions, how confident are you that what you call yourself is really one unified thing at all? Some researchers now argue it isn't. The sense of a single continuous narrator running your mind may itself be an illusion your brain constructs, a way of taking the noisy, parallel, often contradictory activity of billions of neurons and compressing it into something that feels like one coherent voice. The narrator feels singular. The brain producing it is anything but. So the next time that voice comments on something you're reading, or replays an argument from last week, or talks you through a hard workout, remember what it actually is. Not some separate soul living behind your eyes. Not a ghost in the machine. It's a 5-year-old's out-loud narration, compressed by decades of development into a silent whisper your body still almost makes every single time. You've never had a single quiet moment in your entire life. Somewhere inside you, a voice has been talking since before you could walk, and it fully intends to keep going until the day you die. The strangest part isn't that you talk to yourself, it's that you've spent your whole life assuming there was only one of you in there to listen.